Okay, so in the last video, we tested our robot motors, the motor controllers working, and on button A pressed, we did a digital write on pin 13 to 1, digital write on pin 14 to 0, and the result on that was to make the left wheel go backwards. So the thing I just clicked on here was called a comment. And I'm going to right-click on the button B block and add a comment to it. Because when I hit button B and I made pin 15 at 3 volts, or set it to 1, and I set pin 16 to 0 volts, the result of that was to make the right wheel go forward. So here for my comment, I'm going to say right wheel forward. So given what we know, we should be able to create the commands necessary to make the robot go forward, backwards, left, and right with just a little bit of thinking here. And we could do that by just repeating these blocks of code over and over again. Okay, so what I want to show you how to do today is how to use something called a function. So we oftentimes use functions when there's blocks of codes that we want to repeat. And I'm going to make a function, and I am going to call this function forward. And then I'm going to make a function, and I'm going to call it backward. And I'll hit done. I'm going to make a function called left. Done. And I'm going to make a function called right. Oh, I have to click on the text here, and I'll type in right. Done. So here are my blocks of code for right, left, forward, and backwards. And when I look at the robot and I define left and right, it's as if I were sitting in the driver's seat of the robot. You know, driver's side would be the left side, passenger side would be the right side, and so on. Okay, so if I look at the block here from button B, this made the right wheel go forward. So if I take this code and copy it, now my forward command is making the right wheel go forward. The left wheel went backwards, and if I reverse the order of these two pins, that would change it to forwards. So I'm going to copy that. Copy this one. And instead of 13 being 1 and 14 being 0, I'm going to make 13 0, and I'm going to make 14 1. So I now have a function that would make the robot go forward, and there's nothing here making it stop. So here it would just go forward and go forward forever. I'm going to create a function that makes it go forward for half a second and then stops. So I'm going to duplicate my half-second block, and now to make my function stop, let me move things around a little bit here. There we go. I'm going to have to add a digital write 0 pins. So I'm going to digital write and set all pins back to 0. Okay, so here I've turned on the pins to make the robot go forward, and then I've turned all the pins off. Really, if I wanted to, I could have just turned off 14 and 15 because the other two are already 0, but by turning everything off, I just know it's off. And in fact, why don't I make a stop function? So here I'll go to functions, and I'll make a function, and I'm going to call it stop. And for my stop function, I'm going to use basically this part right here. So here I'm going to just duplicate all these zeros. Our stop function will be 13, 14, 15 and 16 set to 0. And now if I want to, instead of having this whole block of code here, what I could do instead is I could go up to my functions and I could call stop. And now all this code can get thrown away and be replaced with the stop function. All right, so I've got a forward function. It goes forward for half a second and then it stops again. Now for the backward function, I'm just going to make all these wheels do the opposite of what they were doing before. So here I'll just I can duplicate my entire forward function. And I'm just going to take all the stuff out of it and plop it into the backward function to save myself some typing. But I need to change each of these to the opposite of what it was before. So I'm going to change the 0 to 1. I'm going to change the 1 to 0. I'm going to change this 1 to a 0. I'm going to change this 0 to a 1. And now I've got a function that should drive the robot forward, a function that should drive it backwards, in both cases for half a second, and then it stops. And now I just need to figure out what a left and a right function would look like. The left wheel turns backwards when I hit this. And on this one, this is the command to make the right wheel go forwards. So as I look at a robot, it helps me if I kind of look down at the robot and I look at the wheels and then I think, okay, if the right wheel is turning forward, that makes the robot turn left. So here I've got a right wheel going forward and that's going to make the robot turn left. So here I'll just duplicate those two blocks. Okay, right wheel forward going forward makes the robot go left. And if the left wheel is turning backwards, that makes the robot turn left. So I'm going to copy these two blocks that made the left wheel go backwards. And that'll make it turn left with the other wheel. All right, and so once again, I'm going to put a pause in here. But turning doesn't take as long. I'm going to have it only turn for 0.2 seconds. And then I'm going to duplicate my stop block. So I'll have it turn everything off after it turns. And now for the right function, I'm basically going to do the exact opposite of what I did to turn left. So I'm just going to duplicate that whole block. I'll drag all the commands out. I can get rid of this now. And now I'll just make all these the opposite. So I'll turn this to a 0, this one to a 1, this one to a 0, this one to a 1. And now that should turn the robot to the right. All right, so let's change the name of this program to Basic Motion. And let's call on these functions. So I'm going to change my button A and my button B. And when I hit button A, and here I'll get rid of my comments now because this program's different. When I hit button A, I'm going to use the function. I'm going to go forward and then backward. And when I hit button B, I'm going to go right first, and then I'm going to go left. Okay, so I'll just remember A is going to be forward back and B is going to be right left. So I'm going to download this program, test it on the robot, and make sure that the functions I created for motion will make the robot do what I'm expecting it to do. All right, so hitting the download button. All right, so it looks like it's loaded. And here it goes, button A. Forward. It went forward so fast, I don't know if it really went back. Okay, and then backwards. So it went forward and then backwards. Took off pretty fast. I want to show you next how to make it not go so fast. And then it did turn right and then left. Looks like it goes further to the right than it does to the left. Here, I'll line it up again. Yeah, maybe that's because it was already kind of moving and it had trouble sort of recovering from that. So anyhow, the basic motions all worked, and now we're ready to string together a number of different basic motions, and we're ready to start writing programs that do interesting things using the sensors on the microbit. Really, we're off to a great start. So we're going to keep on doing it. We're going to robot up. Ooh, that was fast. One more time. Good times. All right. I'll see you in the next video.